قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: حسين مني وأنا من حسين.
قال رسول الله نور عيني، حسين مني أنا من حسيني، حسين مني أنا من حسيني، حسين مني أنا من حسيني.
ما شاء الله، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأرضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. أما بعد، for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shahada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. The one that has given us opportunity to sit again in the remembrance of Abu Abdullah. If truly we understood the maqam, the position, the place that we sit in, a place where even the ma'soom malaika desire to be, a place where, according to our aqidah, the Imam of our time, Zahra Marziyah Salamullah alayha herself comes in attendance. It's an honor for me that I have been given this opportunity to come and speak to you, brothers and sisters, on these most holiest of nights. And before I begin my series, I always like to, wherever I go to a new place, give a slight disclaimer in regards to the lecture series. And that disclaimer is, undoubtedly, in some way, shape or form, I will offend you in the coming nights. It's not my intention, of course. However, there may be some things that at times we need to tackle that the nafs doesn't like to hear. And so as a result, when the nafs doesn't like to hear, a person gets offended. So inshallah, bear with me, and many things will become apparent, and you'll inshallah get to know that I'm not actually trying to offend you in any way, shape or form. Please recite salawat. This azah of Sayyid al-Shuhada, this marasim, these majalis, as I said, they're not just tradition. You are part of history. A history that extends beyond this generation, that extends beyond the generation of your parents and your grandparents. It is a history that was written even before Karbala. Before Karbala could become history, this history was written. It was written even before Rasulullah. You go back throughout time, come to the time of Hazrat Zakaria. Zakaria desires to have a son. In Khasa'is al-Husayniyya, Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari, he brings this riwayah. He says that Zakaria alayhi salam asked Allah to teach him the names that Adam alayhi salam had used in order to ask for the mercy of Allah. And so Jibreel came down and said, Zakaria, say these names. Zakaria alayhi salam began reciting the names. Some days later, he addressed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ilahi, these names, who are they? Ya Ilahi, there's something odd. Zakaria, what's wrong? Says, my Lord, whenever I recite this name of Muhammad, I'm happy. When I recite the name of Ali, I'm happy. When I say this name of Fatima, I'm happy. When I say Hassan, my heart is filled with joy. But Ilahi, this name of Hussein, when I recite it, my heart breaks. You think you're asking the question now that who is Hussein? No, the Ma'soom Malaika and the Anbiya of Allah asked this question as well. Ilahi, who is this Hussein? Jibreel comes down. Zakaria. Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sa'd. The start of Surah Maryam. Zakaria, you need to know that Hussein is hidden within these huruf muqatta'at. It says Kaf, Karbala, Ha, Halakat, Ya, Yazid, Ain, Atash, Sa'd, Sabr. Zakaria, there will be a Hussein. He will go to Karbala. This is what will befall him. They say Zakaria alayhi salam withdrew, began crying. إِذْ نَادَى رَبُّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. The Quran says, and he called out to his Lord in solitude. Riwayah says, Zakaria raised his hands, Ilahi, give me a son that is dear to me, like Hussein will be dear to the Prophet. Give me a son that I will love so much, in the same way that the last Prophet will love his Hussein. And then my Lord, take him away from me and let me feel the pain of the last Prophet. Allah says, Yahya, glad tidings, we have given you a son. He says, Zakaria, glad tidings, we have given you a son named Yahya. Hazrat Yahya, Imam Hussein have many shabahats. Throughout the riwayat, even in Khasa'is of Sheikh Ja'far, he mentions the similarities between Imam Hussein and Hazrat Yahya. And throughout the journey of Karbala, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he mentions Hazrat Yahya at a number of different occasions. But it's not our topic. Just a few. He lists some 15 different characteristics that are similar between them. He says their name was unique. The Holy Quran says that we have named him Yahya, a name that no one has been given before. Imam Hussein, there was no Hussein before. Hussein was the first Hussein. Allah named him. Allah named Yahya. Allah named Imam Hussein. Gave them both unique names that had never been used before. Their term of the pregnancy was only 6 months. Both of them were killed by the oppressor of their time. Both of their heads were severed. Both of their heads spoke after being severed. Both of their heads were placed in trays in front of the oppressor of their time. This gathering, this isn't just you and me. You are connected to the start. Zakaria, no, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's walking through the area, he stumbles, the area of Karbala. Blood begins to come out from his foot. Ilahi, what is this? Did I do something wrong? Because sometimes when you do something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, quick punishment and you wipe away that sin. Says, Ilahi, did I do something? Says, no, Ibrahim, no. You didn't do anything wrong. But Ibrahim, this is the land of Karbala. And the greatest of men shall shed their blood in this place. Ibrahim, you are my Khalil. I wish that your blood also be mixed into this land. Musa alayhi salam the same. Nuh alayhi salam the same. Adam Abul Bashar. Sheikh Ja'far brings it, says he comes in, he falls over, hurts his head. Ilahi, did I do something wrong? This blood that is flowing from my head. No, Adam, you are Abul Bashar. Adam, I wanted your blood to be mixed in this land. For the greatest of men shall shed their blood upon this land. Karbala is not history. Karbala is not tradition. Karbala is not a fad. Karbala is not fashion. Karbala is a culture. Karbala is a changer of states. Karbala is a class of people. Karbala is a lifestyle. Understand that what you are linked to, this azar of Sayyid al-Shuhada, is far greater. Every Nabi, 124,000 prophets were sent. All of them told the story of Abi Abdullah. Each and every one of you have joined that line that hear and retell the story of Abu Abdullah. But why every year? Why remember it every year? Same thing, same story, same masa'ib. Sometimes, like same masa'ib, we heard it last time. Couldn't you just, spice it up a bit? Probably it just happened once. It only happened in one way. Like, there's nothing else I can add or subtract. So, but why every year? As the Holy Prophet held the infant child in his hands, Imam Hussein, he began kissing him and crying. And Hazrat Zahra asks, Ya Rasulullah, why? Says he will be killed in this way. Jibreel has told me. Says, Ya Rasulullah, will there be anyone to mourn my Hussein? The Holy Prophet says, yes. Allah will create a nation whose men will weep over his men, whose women shall weep over his women, his children shall weep over their children, shall weep over his children. And generation after generation, it will become stronger. This message shall continue, whether I like it or not. But why every year? I'll give you 3 ayat of the Holy Quran because time is very short today. 3 ayat of the Holy Quran. The first one is Surah Al-Hud. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Holy Prophet in ayah number 120. He says, O Prophet, we've related all of these accounts of the previous Anbiya to you for a reason. For a reason. He gives him a number of reasons. He says the first reason why we tell you about Musa, we tell you about Isa, we're telling you about Ibrahim, we're telling you about the previous nations, and we're retelling this. He says why? He says the first one is to strengthen your heart. The first reason is that it gives you strength. That, O Nabi Allah, I am that same Lord that as Musa stood by the side of the Nile, I split it for him. And I am that same Lord that shall cover the entrance to a cave with a spider's web to protect you. Not that the Holy Prophet was scared. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Holy Prophet. He's saying, listen, look at these previous Anbiya to give strength to the heart of the Prophet. Look in Karbala. That same strength. 72 men against tens of thousands that are hell-bent on killing. And then place all of those 72 to one side, and the single entity of Sayyid al-Shuhada that stands there as he's fighting throughout, because it's not that Sayyid al-Shuhada didn't fight until the end. No, Imam was constantly going out in every battle with each one of the different companions. Imam was going out and battling with them. People went out in groups and fought. Not everyone went one-on-one. Only a handful of people went one-on-one in battle in Karbala. But every time Sayyid al-Shuhada would go and fight, they would call out, "Unzuru ila al-Husayn." Look towards Hussein. La yubali min al-maut. See how Hussein is not afraid of death. Look at how he fights. And from there they would gain their strength and they would carry on going. We remember Karbala for the strength that it gives to a person. That a nation that has no zahiri power, but yet these tears that fall from your eyes have made tyrants shake for centuries. That is your strength. We are a nation of tears. Imam al-Rahil said famously, these tears, this azar that you do, has made tyrants with all of their strength and with all of their armies shake out of fear for what it is that these tears can do. The second thing that the ayah says, "Oh, Holy Prophet, we give you these stories of previous nations because it is a lesson and a maw'idah for you. It's advice for you, so that you may take lessons from it." Karbala is full of lessons. For those that want morality, Karbala is there. For those that want political strength, Karbala is there. For those that look for bravery, Karbala is there. Those who want social lessons, Karbala has them. You want lessons in emotion, Karbala has them. You want lessons in how to tackle the difficulties in your life, Karbala has them. Third thing says that we tell you these stories as a reminder to the mu'mineen. As a reminder. Because after every Karbala, the heart becomes alive. After every Muharram, the heart becomes alive. And yes, we slip and we go, it's natural. I go back into the old habits that I had. And we'll talk in the coming nights about how habits, we slip into them. Go back to the same way. 10 days, 15 days of Shahr Ramadan, or 30 days of Shahr Ramadan. Someone comes, infuses me, I feel all spiritual. And day of Eid comes and Namaz al-Fajr. I was more worried about eating. Again, topic for another day. How the stomach gains sovereignty over a person. خارج من سلطان بطنه. Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha, when he's talking about one of his companions, he says, Ali had a brother. And why is he my brother, and why do I love him? صغر الدنيا في عينه وخارج من سلطان بطنه. That the dunya was small in his eyes and he'd removed himself from the sovereignty of his stomach. The stomach is very important. Inshallah, if we get tawfiq in this series, we'll talk about it. And Sayyid al-Shuhada mentions it as well. Why are my words having no effect on you? قَدْ مُلِيَتْ بُطُونَكُمْ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ. Because your stomachs are filled with haram. They were Muslims. They ate zabiha. So what haram were they eating? They weren't eating pork. They were Muslims, zahiran. So why were their stomachs filled with haram? Again, for another day, we absolutely have no time today. So the third, the second ayah of the Holy Quran, from Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm missing out the Arabic and just going straight to the translation, says that whoever respects the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the outcome is taqwa al-qulub. Whoever respects the sha'air, the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hussein ibn Ali is a sign of Allah. If Hajara ran between Safa and Marwa for the sake of the Prophet of God to bring him some water, and Allah loved the action of Hajara so much that He says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. Then Hussein in Karbala had a Safa and Marwa as well. His Safa was his tent, his Marwa was the battleground. If Hajara ran 7 times, Hussein ran at least 72 times, back and forth, sometimes to the body of Habib, sometimes to the body of Muslim, sometimes to the body of Ali Akbar, sometimes to the body of Qasim, sometimes to the body of Abbas. Hussein, back and forth from his Safa and his Marwa. If Ibrahim stoned the shaitan, and every year when you go to Hajj, you must throw 3 pebbles at these Satans that have been there. Hussein was surrounded by thousands of shayateen, and he fought them off with his sword. If Ibrahim became an imam because he was willing to sacrifice Ismail, Hussein was born an imam, and he gave his Ali, he gave his Qasim, he gave his Ali al-Asghar. Karbala is no short of sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Safa and Marwa can be sha'airillah, then Abi Abdullah and Karbala are from amongst the sha'air of Allah. Why is it that we do this? Every year we get together because it's sha'air of Allah. Remembering the sha'air brings taqwa in the hearts of the believers. Last ayah, Surah Al-Shu'ara, famous ayah. O Prophet, say to them that I ask you for no reward for this message that I have given you. إِلَّا الْمُوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى, except that you love my Ahlul Bayt, except that you show that love for them. The Holy Prophet, sitting with his ashab, he says, make sure, O people, every day you give sadaqah of your heart and the sadaqah of your tongue. Companions stand up, Ya Rasulullah. What is the sadaqah of the heart? What is the sadaqah of the tongue? We've heard about sadaqah giving wealth and money, but he says the sadaqah of the heart is the love of my Ahlul Bayt. And the sadaqah of the tongue is the recitation of salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Karbala is a lifestyle. And this topic that we have selected for the coming nights is entitled the Husseini lifestyle. What is it that Sayyid al-Shuhada possessed? And those that were by his side, what characteristics did they have that all these years later, all of these centuries later, here you sit. Here you've disrupted your daily lives to come and listen and hear, to come and shed tears for the son of Zahra. And believe me, if you attach yourself to Abi Abdullah in whatever way, shape or form, after the lecture you're requested to stay seated because we have the raising of the flag that will be broadcast. In whatever way, shape or form, you come, you listen to this majlis, you watch the raising of the flag. Abu Abdullah doesn't keep anyone's ihsan. Whatever you do in the way of Abu Abdullah, there is a reward for you. There's a very famous person who in Iran used to hold majalis. For 70 plus years he held majalis, and he would facilitate the majalis in his home and in the center. It says that one year, as the majlis was going on, 2 young men walked in, not wearing black clothes, no sign of sadness on them, just laughing and joking, and they came and they sat right in the middle of the majlis, talking to each other, laughing, and says I was getting angry at them. But they sat there for about 5 minutes, then one whispered to the other, they got up and they left. Okay, good riddance. They didn't understand the adab of the majlis of Sayyid al-Shuhada. The majlis of Imam Hussein has adab, has akhlaq. That you come and you sit in a certain way because you have not come out of your own will. Allah has allowed you to come. Says the next day they came again. But this time they were different. This time they were dressed all in black, somber. Again came to the middle of the room and they sat and listened to the whole majlis. Says afterwards I approached them, I said, yesterday when you came I didn't want to say anything to you, but your appearance was such that it didn't befit the majlis of Abi Abdullah. What is it that happened? Says, if the truth be told, we only came because we heard there was majlis and there may be some food. So we thought we'd come and have a snack. But when we sat down, we realized these people are only serving chai. So we thought, forget it, let's get out of here. Says, so we stood up and we left. Says, as we were leaving, there was some cups that people had drank chai and they threw them away. And so I turned to my friend and I said to him, let's pick these up, someone might slip on them. So we picked them up and we put them in the bin. Says that night in my dream, I saw that I was standing there on the plains of Mahshar. Abu Abdullah was standing next to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and saying, Abbas, read to me the names of all of those that are my zawar. Read to me the names of all of those that are my azadar. Abbas, read to me the names of all of those that did something in my way. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas recites, and then Abu Abdullah says, and what about these two? Abbas says, no, I haven't written their names. He says, no, Abbas, they picked up a few cups so that my azadar wouldn't slip. Abbas, write their name. They too shall receive my shifa'ah on this day. Abu Abdullah does not keep the ihsan of anyone. I will explain what it is that Hussein and being attached to Abu Abdullah can get you. Because Allah has given everything to him. Because he gave everything for the sake of Allah. And the first in the long line of sacrifices was giving up his beloved Medina. When Abu Abdullah made the intention to leave Medina, they say the first place that he went was the grave of Rasulullah in the middle of the night. They say Hussein threw himself on the grave, began crying, Ya Rasulullah, these people will not allow me to remain. Ya Rasulullah, they want me to leave this Medina of yours. He falls asleep on the grave. In his dream he sees Rasulullah. Says, Ya Rasulullah, oh grandfather, take me, keep me inside this grave. I have no desire to return back to the dunya. Rasulullah looks at him and says, Hussein, you should know that there is a place reserved for you in Jannah, but you cannot achieve that station except through shahadat. Rasulullah holds on to Abi Abdullah. They cry in this dream. Abu Abdullah was very dear to Rasulullah. Rasulullah could never see Imam Hussein in the state where he was crying. Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari in Khasa'is says there are 3 distinct times when Rasulullah cried for Abi Abdullah. Says the first time he cried for Imam Hussein was the time when Hussein was born and the infant was handed to him. He looked at this child, Jibreel came down, Ya Rasulullah, this son of yours will be killed in this way. They say Rasulullah began to kiss the neck of Abi Abdullah. This is the place where the sword shall strike my Hussein. Says this is the first place he cried for him. The second place that he cried for Abi Abdullah, Rasulullah is on the mimbar of Medina. Abu Abdullah is a young child. He comes running inside Masjidun Nabi. He trips up and falls. Rasulullah leaves the mimbar, goes running down to pick up Hussein, holds him and begins to cry. The ashab say to him, Ya Rasulullah, he's a child. Children fall. He says, no, my heart cannot bear that my Hussein fall upon the ground. I can't bear that my Hussein fall upon the ground. Says the third place that Rasulullah cried for Abu Abdullah was when Hussein fell from the horse in Karbala to the burning sands of the plains of Karbala. Salama says at the time of Asr on the day of Ashura, I saw in my dream Rasulullah had removed his ammama and he was standing by the body of Abi Abdullah crying, oh Yazid, what did my Hussein do to you that you did this to my Hussein? Abu Abdullah wakes up, leaves the grave of Rasulullah and goes to that grave that was unknown. That grave that was not mashhur. Why? Because the person of that grave had said, Ya Ali, حنطني بالليل وغسلني بالليل وكفني بالليل. Ya Ali, when you go to bury me, Ya Ali, give me hanut in the night. Ya Ali, give me kafan in the night. Ya Ali, give me ghusl in the night so my enemies don't understand. Hussein in the end is a son and the son is going to his mother. The riwayat don't mention what it is that Abu Abdullah spoke to his mother about. But those of you that are close to your mothers, those of you whose mothers have left this world, only you understand that connection that a son has with his mother. Hussein now comes to his mother Zahra. What is it that he asks? What is it that he remembers? Maybe he's remembering that time while he was still young and the Muslims came to the door. They set fire to the door of Zahra. She stood behind that door pleading with them, saying, this is the door of wahi. This is the door that Rasulullah would ask permission before entering. He watches as the burning door is kicked and Zahra is crushed between the wall and the door. Maybe he remembers that time that as she tried to get up to defend Amirul Mu'mineen, he turned towards his slave Kunfar and said, what are you waiting for? Move her out the way. And he slapped Zahra. He whipped Zahra as she fell unconscious upon the ground. Or maybe he remembers that time when he came with his brother Hassan and Asma wouldn't let them inside the room. And he said, Asma, this is not the time when my mother would sleep. Imam Hassan runs inside the room, calls out, Hussein, our mother has left this world. Abu Abdullah runs inside the room, seeing the lifeless body of Zahra. They say Hussein placed his cheek on the foot of Sayyidah Zahra. He called out, Ya Ummah, Kallimini, Ana Husseinun. Oh mother, speak to me, I am your Hussein. قبل أن يفارق روحي من جسدي. Oh mother, speak to me before my soul leaves my body. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these tears. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shafa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, keep safe all those that under this blue sky say Ya Hussein. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to go on the ziyarat of Abi Abdullah this year and every year. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as that you brothers and sisters that are watching online have brought. Please recite 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.